Good morning, people. It's just 11 o'clock down here, just 12 o'clock up there, so I made it by half a second. Anyhow, I didn't do much yesterday. It was a family day, and I missed a lot of football, but I can still talk about some of it. I did see the New York Liberty win in overtime last night. And I'm glad because it's New York needs a winner, and it's a better game, I think, than the pros because there's not all this 3-point shooting and whatnot. There's a lot of driving to the hoop and ball handling and passing and whatnot. It makes it a more exciting game for me, but probably not for a lot of other people. There was a huge crowd. And judging by the crowd, that had to be in the Garden because there was basically a New York crowd. So I thought it was that was a good thing, Now my other team in New York, the Giants, I didn't get to see that game, but I did read where they pulled Daniels out of the lineup and inserted Drew Luck, who didn't have any more luck than Daniels did. That team needs a coaching change. It needs a management change. One of the things I've always said about this team since I started watching it back in the days of Charlie Connerly, it's predictable. So if you're going to be that kind of predictable, you have to be as good as Lombardi's teams were. Lombardi's early Packers, only had a few plays. And his philosophy was, if you do everything right, you'll win. Because the other team's going to make mistakes. If you're perfect, the other team won't be. And, the Giants are far from perfect. But they do have the philosophy of a lot of other coaches, which is that you have an almost scripted offense, which is unfortunate because it's predictable and nobody can make a mistake, and they all make mistakes. They're just not that good. It's starting with the coach, the staff, the ownership, the players. They're just not that good. But you want to see really good, go watch the Kansas City Chiefs. I saw from the start of the third quarter on, I was able to watch that game, and it was very, very close at that point in time, and then all of a sudden Kansas City did what it does. Purdy isn't bad, but he's not as great as he was, and I don't think he's surrounded by the same talent he was when he first came into the league. But he'll turn it around. He's just too good not to turn it around. I don't think there's any sort of need for panic with him or anything. He's got the talent. He just has to get a little bit more protection and everything, and he'll be fine, So that takes care of that part of it. I guess you all read that the Trumpster went to a McDonald's and worked the fry station, and he makes it appear that he was handing stuff out the drive-in window and everything else. Just so you know, I found this out this morning that the particular McDonald's put out a statement that they're not Trump supporters, but they opened up to the public when people want, they don't turn down politicians and whatnot when something's going to, quite possibly help them. Anyhow, the restaurant was closed when he did that. It was not open for business. So that was all staged. It was all rehearsed and whatnot. So I don't know whether it was rehearsed, but it was all staged. Because he couldn't handle a busy, if they had left it open and all the people came in and everything like that wanted to see Trump and everything like that, cooking French fries, he would have been overwhelmed in about 15 seconds because he just doesn't have the ability to function at that pace. I don't, and I'm the same age he is, so, I'm not saying that's a particular problem with Trump's, although it is. But we both wander a lot when we talk, so it's not something that I criticize him about, only his stupidity and his evilness that I criticize, all right? And the Democrats, this I got from Rolling Stone magazine, are missing the boat on the transgender issue. They're just sitting around basically doing nothing after Trump made these statements he made, and they're not replying to him, and it's said that if they did, they could beat him. You know, that there's just enough evil in him that they could overcome it, and therefore help themselves out. But they seem to be doing nothing. You know, they either are taking his side or they're just doing nothing. That's just not a good thing for the Democrats, because the transgender people have parents, families, and whatnot, and there's a lot of these people you don't know that are out there, you know, because they're afraid to come forward. You know, I've seen very beautiful transgender women in the United States. You don't see that down here. I haven't seen one yet. Now, that doesn't mean they're not around. It just means that they're afraid, you know, because down here they're a little bit more violent about things like that when they dislike it, you know. So it's a little harder. There's a lot of gay people down here, and we have them in our family, and it's no big deal, you know, that part of it anyhow. And of course, Trump resorted to his famous, you know, his high moral value campaigning, when he turned around and said Harris was a shit VP. He was horrible. Get her out of here. You know, but he did use the word shit VP. You know, that's just Donald Trump being a dick. Now, I can't read this. Hold on 1 minute. Oh, it's about the Ukraine. From another article I read, I'm not sure if it was a CNN or Rolling Stone or one of the other news agencies, because I read it and I just in passing, you know, and I didn't think of anything about it until I came up here to do it, to do this, you know. And it's apparently the Ukraine and his philosophy and his policies that he would institute towards the Ukraine, which is basically he's going to sell them out. He wants Russia to have the Ukraine, or whatever Putin wants, you know, because Putin whispers in his ear and pats him on the ass every once in a while, so that's what he's going to want to do there, you know. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but it could cost Trump the election. I'd like it, you know, but who knows. Oh yeah, it's about the McDonald's being closed for Trump. And another thing I read an article on, I read this everywhere. Shows up on every news agencies, different articles by different people and whatnot. But it's all about people leaving, the Republicans leaving Donald Trump. Now, they're not megas that are, all megas that are leaving. They're legitimate Republicans, people that respected the Republican Party for what it stood for over the years, people who have history in the Republican Party, and they're leaving because they're not happy with the direction it's going in, or you know, about certain issues that Trump just flips out on every once in a while, you know. And he's just like everybody has said this, including his own people, that he's his own worst enemy. You know, he's just so ridiculously stupid, I guess is the only term I can use. But the problem is that with these legitimate Republicans leaving the Republican Party, what you're left with is the mega fascist party. And there's a lot of those people, you know. There were a lot of people, pro-Nazi people during World War II, people that you just in the average American that lives in a very like me. All right, I lived in a very non-segregated area. I lived in a racial environment. I lived with I guess that's the biggest thing, but multiracial and multi-economic environment, and the ones that didn't like it were either closet Nazis. Skinheads didn't come out until later. You know, they're an extreme violent uh, violent entity of the Nazi Party. And again, there are Nazis that believe in the political policies of the party, but not the extreme violent end of it. Okay, great, you know, but you can't just take a side. You can't just be, you know, you have to leave the fascist party. You have to leave the National Socialist Party, whatever they're calling themselves now. All right. In order to, if you want to implement your opinions and you want them heard, because American Nazi Party doesn't have a tendency to listen to anybody other than the more violent rhetoric, the more hatred. And I don't understand that. You know, it's a party of hatred. They hate blacks. I'm not sure if they still hate Jews down here in America or not, but I would have to suppose that's still a belief. They think Hitler was the second coming of Jesus Christ, which is so far from reality, it's not even funny. Even the guys that were under him didn't think that, you know. He was a power-hungry egomaniac, and that's what drove to him to lose. I mean, that was the thing that was really surprising, was that when he lost his election and everything like that, people lost his life rather in the war. People didn't understand it all. Why did he do this? His hatred was so deep, and his depressed behavior was so deep that it would have taken quite a few years to be able to figure that out as to why he did what he did. And I don't think anybody's really tried to figure out the why part of it, you know. I mean, other than the fact he was an egomaniac who hated Jews and blamed the Jews for everything. Seems that sounds familiar. We have a candidate running for president in the United States who's an egomaniac and is blaming immigrants for everything, all our troubles, every murder, every rape, every job rejection, everything is being blamed on immigrants. But if you're blaming it on immigrants, you're blaming it on yourself, because there isn't the only true Americans that were born and raised in the United States, were the American Indians. Anybody that comes here afterwards as an immigrant, that means all our families have immigrants in them. You know, even if you've been here for 150 years or so, you're still an immigrant, you know. And we practiced genocide back in the 1800s when we tried to get rid of all the American Indians because they had something we wanted. Rather than going in and giving them a fair value, we'd rather just shoot them and move them, you know. Especially when they found gold in the Black Hills and all that other, you know, oil was on there. Now they're trying to sell their own oil licenses, and the companies are taking advantage of them still, because the people that are selling the licenses are, I forget, there's a terminology for that, carpetbaggers or something like that, I don't know. But they you know, It's like the casinos. The casinos uh, have a lot of non-Indian personnel involved in them. Now, is that because the Indians don't want to work in there? I have no idea. I've never. I've only been to the Navajo reservation, and that was when I was a kid. I've never been able to get back and talk to the people in the reservations, and I think that would be an interesting thought. To sit down with a Native American and have that's uh, working and whatnot, and see if they have what kind of thoughts they have on that. All right, another day shot. We got about a week left or so, a couple weeks left to the election. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope to God he doesn't win. Because right now, for two reasons. One, he's flipping out, and I don't want to see J.D. Vance as President of the United States, more so than I probably want to see Trump President of the United States. Because J.D. Vance is a religious fanatic, and he will drive us into a complete tailspin. Okay? It will be, his presidency would be extremely oppressive. Alright? Okay, but anyhow, I'm out of here for the day, and I'll see you tomorrow.